Legendary was the Xanadu, where Kubla Khan decreed his stately pleasure dome. Today, almost as legendary is Florida's Xanadu, world's largest private pleasure ground. Here, on the deserts of the Gulf Coast, a private mountain was commissioned and successfully built. 100,000 trees, 20,000 tons of marble are the ingredients of Xanadu's mountain. Contents of Xanadu's palace. Paintings, pictures, statues, the very stones of many another palace. A collection of everything, so big it can never be catalogued or appraised. Enough for 10 museums, the loot of the world. Xanadu's livestock, the fowl of the air, the fish of the sea, the beast of the field and jungle. 2 of each, the biggest private zoo since Noah. Like the pharaohs, Xanadu's landlord leaves many stones to mark his grave. Since the pyramids, Xanadu is the costliest monument a man. Already decaying pleasure palace, aloof, seldom visited, never photographed. An emperor of newsprint continued to direct his failing empire. Vainly attempted to sway as he once did the destinies of a nation that had ceased to listen to him, ceased to trust him. Then, last week, as it must to all men, death came to Charles Foster Kane. Youths, on the march!
That's it. Hello. Hello. Stand by. I'll tell you if we want to run it again.
Well, how about it, Mr. Walton?
How do you like it, boys?
Well, 70 years in a man's life.
That's a lot to try to get into a newsreel.
It's a good shot, Thompson, but what it needs is an angle.
Yeah.
All we saw on that screen was that Charles Foster Kane is dead. I know that. I read the paper.
Yeah.
You see, Thompson, it isn't enough to tell us what a man did. You've got to tell us who he was.
Neath that angle.
Wait a minute. What were Kane's last words? Do you remember, boys?
Yes, sweet.
What were the last words he said on Earth? Maybe he told us all about himself on his deathbed.
Yeah, and maybe he didn't. Maybe it was
All we saw on that screen was a big American.
one of the biggest.
But how is he any different from Ford? Or Hearst, for that matter, or John Doe?
Yeah, sure.
I tell you, Thompson, a man's dying words.
What were they? You don't read the papers.
When Charles Foster Kane died, he said just one word.
Rosebud.
Not only that, tough guy.
Yes, Rosebud.
Eyes calling
Just
for
that
Rosebud.
one word. But who is she?
What was it?
Here's a man that could have been president, who was as loved and hated and as talked about as any man in our time. But when he comes to die, he's got something on his mind called Rosebud. Now, what does that mean?
A racehorse he bet on once.
Yeah, that didn't come in.
All right. But what was the race?
Rosebud.
Thompson.
Yes, Mr.
Hold this picture up a week. 2 weeks if you have to.